The life will change. We don't tell our young people that there is a beginning and there is an end. Although we tell them Tawheed, Khuda ek che, Khuda ek che, we fail to tell them the application of this part of faith in our life. We don't bring to them vividly to say this is how it governs your life. So what stops us from becoming anything that we want to become, provided that we understand this? This is the first viewpoint of a Muslim, that he looks at the whole world with one authority on one hand and knows there's going to be a day of return. This is one. And second difference, my dear friends, is that Allah has made you and me, human beings, as Khalifa. Khalifa is not Khalifa. In Urdu, Khalifa ji means a barber. Khalifa ji. In certain parts, Khalifa is a barber. Or whenever I say Khalifa, people think of those three Khalifa. I'm not talking of those three Khalifa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Allah says, إِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ. When Allah told the angels, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. I'm going to appoint on earth a Khalifa. Not a successor, a deputy, a vicegerent. Immediately the Malaika objected. Immediately. قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك. Oh Allah, are you going to bring onto this earth creation which is going to create mischief, shed blood, while we are here to sing your praise and glorify your name? Allah said, Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun. I know what you do not know. And Adam was created. We are children of Adam. And therefore, man came on this earth as a Khalifatullah, as a vicegerent and deputy. Because of this viewpoint, man has got to understand that there is some work which Allah has deputed to us to complete. A Muslim does not live like a vegetable. A Muslim does not live like for himself alone. A Muslim lives for others, and Muslim lives to serve humanity and to serve his purpose of life. Very important, because we have been deprived of all this. When I talk of this from my heart, that we have forgotten to tell young men, my young man, you are 18, entering into adolescence, you are a vicegerent of God. You are Khalifa of God. Life is not only for playing volleyball and football, although I am not against volleyball. I am not against sports. I am all for it. But it is not only for that. It is not only for starting dukas, businesses and all that. Now when I talk of this community of mine, I talk and I say this because we belong to each other. Look at it now. The moment a child is grown up, married, what is our expectation? Our expectation is that he will, inshallah, now work. If he wants a shop, father will provide with some investment, he will start. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. A community which does not have one good writer. A community which can speak no language or can boast to belong to no language. If you talk Gujarati the way Gujaratis speak, our people say, you are talking Sanskrit. If you talk Urdu, we are told change it, because Urdu we don't understand it. If we talk Farsi, it is out of question. If it is Arabic, much as we clamored and shouted, but the classes of Arabic begin with 50, 40 children and end up with one. We have seen it. Right? Now comes English, for which we say English, 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 English. English language, in its literature, with all its grandeur, with its style and finery and finesse, do we Do we understand that way English? As a literature, or just English to be able to transact our business, to be able to travel underground, or to read a newspaper and sometimes even miss the point? Is that the way we understand English? To which language do we belong? No nation and no community on this earth could ever be guided without language. And this is the community which has got no language to talk. So the culture does not exist because there is no language. You write a book. If you write a book, 1,000 copies of one Islamic book cannot be sold in this community because people are simply not interested. Jehovah's Witness, when it prints its book, it's 86,000 copies per edition. How many? 86,000. We cannot sell in this community, not only London. I'm talking of the community in England. No, I'm talking of the whole community. North America, East Africa, India, Pakistan included. We cannot sell even 1,000. Free they will take. If I keep it Abdul Muhammad's table there and just keep free, then it goes. But to pay £1 for a book which might be worth £5, no. In which language will you talk? We had a good discussion with some friends of mine, very well-meaning friends. They were telling me, Mulla Sahab, they said in our own language, हमें एकला शू करी, हम अकेले क्या करें? हम अकेले क्या करें? It's just like this, that sometimes there was a scheme in Saudi Arabia, before it was Saudi, in Hijaz, that Hajis sometimes need water, they need milk. In those days it was all scarcity, so the chief of the clan said that from our tribe of about 50,000 people, let us prepare one big house and everyone should bring only one casket, one mashk, one bottle of milk. 50,000 bottles of milk, the house will be full. And then we will give away this milk for Hajis to drink as much as they want, and then when it is finished, finished. One man started thinking, was very clever. He said, all of them will bring milk. If I took water, nobody will take notice of it. I mean, who is going to take notice if I take? Now he forgot one thing, that everyone was thinking the same way. With the result that when the day came to fill the house was full of water. Everyone thinks that way. मैं अकेला क्या करूं? And they forget one thing, that the revolutions on earth took place with one man in the beginning. One man. It starts from there. Provided there is language, vehicle where people read or they listen and understand, then the revolution starts. And the seeds are sown. And the germination is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if there is no one to read, if there is no one to understand, if there is no language, how are you going to communicate? This is the problem we are all facing. Mr. Murtaza Bandali is selling books there. Some of the books are intellectual books. Some of them are meant for primary readers. Those books are lying for how many days and years? I do not know. He knows better. I'm not trying to promote his business. But I'm just trying to tell you that this is the problem anyone faces, whether it is he or anyone. Thousands and thousands of pounds can go for nothing. A book, if it is quoted at 10 pounds, we try to tell Murtaza bhai, ketla taka તમે આમાંથી નફો ઉપાડો છો? It's a tragedy. Communism today is dead, but it started with one man, Karl Marx, and his friend, Engel. But do you know that his book was not read for 100 years? 100 years after his death, his book came up from the shelves. And when people read, whether it was for the right or for the wrong, whether it was for the good or for the evil, but it changed societies, it created governments. In 1963, Ayatollah, today we talk of Ayatollah al-Khomeini. Where were we when he was exiled in 1963? Where were we? One man alone. But he went on talking again and again and again till people listened to him. He wrote. He propagated whatever he wanted to say. But he said this, one man. It again caught fire. And then, of course, everybody started talking the same language. The first person who spoke on Islamic unity and pan-Islamism, rising against the forces of evil, the way I have talked today, that there is a book, Universe is the book which has got the first page and the last page. And the author is Allah. Authority is His. We are going to return to Him. Therefore, there is a responsibility, and Muslim must rise as a Khalifatullah. The first man who spoke about it about 150 years ago was Sayyid Jamaluddin Afghani, and the man was kicked from one place to another, from Afghanistan to Turkey, from Turkey to Misr, from Misr to Russia, from Russia to London, from London to Paris, from Paris to Beirut, from Beirut again back to Misr, from Misr again to Turkey. Finally he died. A man who lived only 60 years of age had to move and move and move. Everywhere, everywhere. The governments which did not like his approach created problems from him. He was deported from one place to another. He could not live anywhere in peace. This is history, we know this. But everywhere that he went, he was told, Sayyid, why are you after this? Forget about it. We are prepared to give you a portfolio. We are prepared to give you ministry. And the answer he gave was, which is in his book, Al-Urwatul Wuthqa. He says, Ya Darwish. He talks to himself. O Darwish, kun faylasufan tarad dunya ul'uba. Be a philosopher so that you may see this world as a toy, as a game. Don't see it like as if it was all in all. And again he says, pursue your goal in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for He is the author. And then he said there will come a time when you will die and you will say, this gives me a hint that he was definitely a Shia Ithna Ashari. There is no doubt about it, because it is there. He says, when the time will come when you will die, pursuing your goal, you will say, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. And this Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba was not uttered by anyone but Ali ibn Abi Talib. Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. I have succeeded. I have completed my goal by the Lord of Kaaba. This is what Mulla said at the time when the sword hit him on 19th of Ramadan. Immediately he rose and said, Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. He raised his head and said this. And this is what Jamaluddin said. People used to ridicule him. People used to deport him. Governments deported him. British government, French government, Turkish, Osmani Empire, all of them were against him. So where do we stand? Today, as I end my lecture, when I say this every time, people sometimes don't understand. When I speak of taqwa, people say, Mulla talks of taqwa, taqwa, taqwa. But inshallah they will remember this, that this is not a strange animal. It is an assertion, an affirmation that I am a Muslim, and that I believe that there is a beginning and there is an end. I am answerable to Him when I return, and I am a Khalifatullah. I have got certain duties to perform on earth, within my limitations, whatever. Be a leader of a community, president, secretary, whatever, even head of the family, or whatever. Even a simple member of the community, if I remember this, life changes. So now, the summary is that there is a viewpoint from which you look at it. There are people who are looking at different ways. There are people looking at Technology having advanced, therefore life is azad and free. You can act like animals. And then we say, look, how these Western people live. We would like to live that way. We forget that they don't have the beginning and the end. We have the beginning and the end. And the result will be what people don't want to see. People don't want to study. The result will be the waywardness of life that they have, where a husband and wife don't live as husband and wife, where a daughter cannot be told, where the life is that of an animal, however glamorous and glittering it may be, where there is no responsibility toward anyone, where now authority can work. Not even an elderly person can talk to a young man to say that this is wrong, where the values have changed. And here, those constant values of Sharia are immutable, and therefore the life is different. So in the next issues that we will discuss so many things, this will be the guideline and this will be the guiding factor, that our viewpoint is different. Our standpoint is different. Our outlook towards life is different. It's not that only Allahu Akbar and Subhana Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi and fasting. No. Even when you are in your shop, even when you are teaching, even when you are lecturing, or when you are studying in the school for the highest graduation, you don't forget one thing, that I belong to Him, and I have returned unto Him, and I have got a duty to perform. If this remains, everything will change. There will be no problems in us. May Allah guide us and enable us to understand these very fine points. It may be heavy going. It may be very philosophic. It may not be very interesting. But it is important, and this is the only difference. There is no other difference. We differ from others because of our outlook, if we have cultivated it. If we have not, then of course the thinking is always confused. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.